Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the debate that was held the other day between Peterson, Fry, Goldberg, and Dyson. I was left feeling a little disappointed because I feel neither side really defined the terms and therefore didn't really address the core of the debate, which to my mind was, is political correctness compatible with progress? And I think it would have become apparent that once we delve into the definitions of these terms, that political correctness actually undermines progress rather than advances it. Now, to understand this position, we must define progress in such a way that people can agree upon. Progress, after all, is a subjective term. Our opponents must hold that the kind of progress they value can be measured by observing increasing diversity. Diversity is a nebulous term at the best of times, but I shall try to illustrate it by saying that we can see that we have made progress when we arrive at a point in history where there are a certain number of people of color, homosexuals, and women in positions of power, such as CEOs, astrophysicists, or, say, President of the United States of America, and so on. A society devoid of such progress would be one run almost exclusively by white males. However, this definition is not rigorous enough for our purposes, as there is no way that a narrow focus on people from a particular gender or race can account for everyone in that society, or indeed everyone in that very small group. Instead, we should define progress as a broad improvement in measurable aspects of society, such as unemployment rate, average life expectancy, GDP per capita, your basic human development index datasets. So, progress is tied to adding material value to people's lives across the board rather than a narrow consideration about who occupies the top positions in that society. That leads us to our next point. The origin of such progress as we see around us in the West must come from somewhere. It has come from thinkers. It has come from the human mind and its ability to reason, which is the ultimate creator of value and wealth. Our progress in fighting diseases, increasing our average lifespans, creating more recreational time through technology, and easing the burden of manual labor came from the minds of people who dared to apply themselves, to grapple with reality, to seek truths, however uncomfortable they might be for the prevailing ruling classes or ideologies. One shudders to think what would have happened if Galileo or Copernicus were so afraid of offending the Catholic Church that instead of writing anything down or saying anything, they had remained silent about the nature of the universe, keeping their thoughts to themselves locked up inside their minds. Despite being persecuted, their writings and their ideas have survived because they had the courage to write the truths in the face of overwhelming social pressure to keep quiet. I would think that at least one part of progress could be that people were more free to express their ideas about the nature of the world, not less. Now let us turn our attention to political correctness. This seems to have a more solid definition that I got from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It reads, political correctness is conforming to a belief that language and practices which could offend political sensibilities as a matter of sex or race should be eliminated. If we peel back the veil of political correctness, we see that it rests on a morality that arises from the romanticist view that feelings somehow trump facts and that others are more important than ourselves. The resulting moral standard is that the feelings of others is paramount. It is not about seeking truth, being honest, or even polite, but it is rather about self-censorship of our words and actions, and ultimately of our thoughts in the name of this morality. An attack on the freedom of the mind is an attack on the mind itself, as the mind is our only tool for making sense of the world around us. It can come as no surprise then that the staunchest followers of our opponent's doctrine of political correctness are in fact able to deny such realities in the hope of causing the least offense to anyone who may be listening. Refusing to acknowledge reality is a dangerous practice that thwarts, inhibits, and ultimately destroys the mind's capacity to reason. It should therefore be clear that we must oppose the motion that political correctness is synonymous with progress. Thank you for listening, and if you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment below.